I did see see everything for phase 2
Yes.
opening. So it's exciting. It'll be on Friday. So we'll talk about that just a little bit. It's exciting for the tourism industry, actually.
Definitely. That will definitely have a huge impact.
Yes. So were you able to see the list, or did you know it before they just put it on the TV a second ago?
Nope, and I didn't see that yet either.
Okay. Well, I will assist with that because I ran to the TV and took a picture.
Hey. So what did they say?
Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Just one second. Okay, Miss Megan Davenport, we will look into using for Zoom in the future. Thank you. The WebEx platform has been provided to many different businesses through AT&T for a trial period during the COVID epidemic, and so we appreciate the sponsorship of AT&T for us to be able to use the WebEx platform. So anyway, and I know Zoom has gotten much better over the time frame. Okay, well, it's 4 after 3, and we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'd like to welcome everybody to today's Chamber Chat. Here we are. It's another exciting day of the governor's on the TV now and live on all the social media announcing phase 2. So I will, if you did or did not were able to see that, let me see if I can assist with what little bit that I did here as we were getting on this call. They did a slide up there, and it said that we are now going to move up to a 50% occupancy with a 6 feet distancing for churches, solo and non-contact sports, playgrounds, outdoor play centers, barbers and salons, museums, zoos, and aquariums. None of the tactile exhibits, the gyms and fitness centers, the malls, restaurants, coffee shops, and cafes, bars, breweries with the LDH food permits can go to 50%, and theaters, casinos and video poker to the 50%, and racetracks are still not open to the spectators. And bars and breweries without the LDH food permits can open at 25%. And let's see, this is exciting. So our day spas, the tattoo shops, and the massage parlors, shops, and estheticians will be able to open. They don't have in parentheses at what occupancy, so we'll see with the proclamation coming out on Thursday. Swimming pools with controlled recreation swimming, and bowling, skating, and event centers. So yay, how timely are we to be here today? As our guest speaker is Stacy Brown, who is the president of the Shreveport-Bossier Convention and Tourist Bureau, and she's been there for 19 years and has more than 32 years of experience in the travel and tourism industry. And many of you may not know that she and I both started at the Convention and Tourist Bureau at the same time, 4 weeks apart. So she's still there, and I've moved over to the Chamber world, and we still work very, very closely together. So she has earned her certification in the destination. She's a certified destination management executive from Destinations International. She currently serves on a number of boards, including the National Scenic Byways Foundation, the Louisiana Travel Association, as well as many local boards. And she was chosen as one of the 5 over 50 by Biz Magazine and has been presented with the Athena Award in 2006. So she is a guest speaker all over. We just don't know that we have this wonderful celebrity in our midst here in our community, as she's has spoken at national, state, and local tourism conferences, and is a graduate of Stephen F. Austin State University, and is very active in her church And so anyway, Stacy, good friend of mine, our families used to travel on vacation together. Now they're all grown up and now we're starting to share grandbabies together. So let's talk about tourism. So tell us about, what's been happening in the tourism industry with the stay-at-home order, with this COVID epidemic, and then moving into phase one, and now the announcement of phase two is supposed to happen according to the governor on this Friday, and what we can expect for the future. So I'm just going to kind of turn it over to you for a few minutes, and you just share us all the things that you've been learning, because it's important for those that are on the call to understand too how tourism and business really overlay. And tourism is one of our economic development drivers. And sometimes we forget that you are part of economic development. So thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Lisa. And thanks everyone for joining us today. It's always fun to talk about tourism, even when times are a little tough. It's always fun to talk about travel. So one of the things about all of this happening during our peak season is that it has been a tremendous impact, negative impact on the hospitality and tourism industry. Our economy locally is very tied to hospitality and tourism. So in fact, our Caddo and Bossier parishes each year generate about $97 million in taxes that are paid by our visitors. So that's money that you and I don't have to pay because our visitors pay it for us. It's about 13,000 employees in the hospitality and tourism industry locally. A huge number of those are off and furloughed. And we're getting those back online a little bit more every day right now. So the hospitality industry really is a key to getting things going back in our communities, as well as around the whole nation and the world. So watching those travel and tourism trends, where are things headed? How do we need to proceed? We've been doing lots of video conferences and webinars and calls with our other convention and visitors bureaus, watching lots of research and doing as much research as we can ourselves to make sure that we're positioning Shreveport-Bossier, Caddo and Bossier parishes to the best of our abilities to welcome visitors back when it's appropriate to do that. So just to give you a little bit of an idea of how much this has impacted us. So as of a couple of weeks ago, we kind of looked, okay, how many conferences, meetings, events, sporting events have either canceled or postponed because of the pandemic? And it's about 100 that have postponed. Just those is over $33 million in economic impact. That's not including the typical visitor that comes here and goes to the casino, eats at a restaurant, goes shopping, goes to the theater. That's not including all those people. That's just those sporting events, as well as meetings and conventions and group tours. So it has definitely had a huge impact on our economy. And now the positive thing is we're already starting to move up. So since we've been gradually opening up every week, we've seen things getting a little bit better and a little bit better, more people staying in the hotels. And we've even seen our local people staying in the hotels, because let's face it, we're all tired of our homes. We've had enough honeydew projects, and now it's time to get out and about. So some people aren't quite ready to leave. So what better time is there to see what we have here at home than to literally go and stay in a hotel in your own backyard? So things are moving very quickly. As I mentioned, it's looking stronger every week. And so one of the indicators we look at is through Expedia. We do quite a bit of work with Expedia to drive that overnight visitation to our community. So with Expedia, we've been able to look at our future bookings and how are those pacing now compared to how they were booking last year. So obviously May and June look really down compared to what they were this time last year. But what we're seeing is July is picking up pretty good. August is looking better. September and October are actually looking better than they were last year. So as long as things continue to progress nicely, I think we will see some good increases very steady coming back to our community. Definitely having the ability to open up to 50% at the casinos and other areas is a huge positive. We've seen the casinos and others have lines, and so sometimes just the thought I may have to wait in line has deterred some people from coming. So it's a great opportunity now that the governor has given us to expand that, open up more of our attractions, and we'll talk more about that as well as we get going. I'd like to share a little bit of national information and what's happening in tourism, and there is so much to tell. So some of the things that we know that Americans love to vacation. We feel it is our right to vacation, and no matter what, we are going to take some time with our family. So we're getting ready to do that. And 45% of Americans who will take a vacation have said we've already planned our vacation. 42% will travel in their own personal car. So one thing about this statistic that bodes very well for Caddo and Bossier parishes is we are very much a drive destination. The majority of our visitors drive in from about a 200-mile radius. What we're seeing also is that people are willing to drive further. So this gives us the opportunity to reach out a little further as well. 84% of Americans that travel will stay within the United States, and their average trip distance is about 539 miles. So that's much more significant than it was even just a few months ago. 44% will visit a park on their trip. So we're seeing that people are wanting to get out and about in the rural areas and in the outdoors, and obviously part of Sportsman's Paradise. That bodes very well for our community. 55% will stay in a hotel, and 74% will go to a restaurant. So 79% of them will research their destination and see how we are managing this crisis. So they want to know, what are you doing in your area? And this is an area I think our community has done exceptionally well. And I want to give a big shout out to the Bossier Chamber, Shreveport Chamber, the cities, the parishes, everyone coming together with the health system to do the Open SBC or OpenSafeSBC.com. So that website is tremendous, and our visitors want to see that too. They want to know that we are helping our businesses to open safely, that we are keeping our employees safe, as well as keeping our visitors safe. So it used to be you always wanted to do your cleaning before people got there. Now they want to see you do some cleaning, and they want to know what your procedures are. So putting it out there on your website, talking about what there is to, what kind of cleaning measures you're doing, what kind of safety measures you have for your staff, they want to see that information. So safety is paramount to planning, and they'll be looking for that as they plan their destination travel. Another key takeaway is travel businesses should not assume their guests are entirely trusting of them to take care of their health right now, and should take extra measures to earn this trust. So as I was saying, post your notices, put it on your website. You can even do it. I've heard some of the voicemails of some businesses talking about the things that they're doing and what they're asking their visitors to do as they come into their place of business. Most travelers are not yet convinced that the industry can totally open safely, and so that's why I think our governor has done a great job of being maybe a little bit slower, but being very specific in how we do that and making sure that we're keeping people safe as we do that. Our predictive indexes show that some improvement, but the industry still has a long way to come back. And it's not going to come back just on its own. So people have to be invited back. There are some, those avid travelers that know our destination, that are going to go ahead and come back. But others have to be invited. And so that takes the money to be able to do that. So getting our information out to travelers is paramount. So we took our information. We've been watching kind of what are those indexes, what's the propensity to travel, when is the right time to advertise and get out there with our message, and what's the right message to bring people back to our area. So after some research, putting some information out there, test marketing, we've come up with a new campaign called Push Play. And that's letting people know that it's time to come back to Shreveport-Bossier, and now is a great time to do that. So we're starting to ramp that up very slowly. It started last Friday, mostly social media, public relations, online, but as it goes, you will see some more traditional media as well as other avenues. You'll see it on the billboards. If you've been driving around town, you may have already seen some of the billboards, because one of the things we want to do is let our local people know, as well as our visitors, that it's time to get out and play again. So this campaign will reach out there because we know there is some pent-up demand. One of the avenues we'll be using is Expedia. It's a leader in the hotel search and bookings that are provided through that platform. Our future pace bookings, as we talked about earlier, May and June, pretty slow, but trending up still a little bit every week. And then July and August will pick up a little bit more, and then September and October will be strong. What we're seeing in our searches is that about 30% of our current searches are from the Dallas-Fort Worth area, which was not a big surprise to us. Next was our Shreveport-Bossier local market, seeing what can I see and do here in Shreveport-Bossier, since I'm staying closer to home, maybe staying in some of the hotels and getting out and about. But what did surprise me is some of the far areas that are researching our destination. So Los Angeles, Philadelphia, Atlanta, San Francisco, DC and Buffalo were all searching Shreveport-Bossier and what can they do here. So a lot of those bigger cities are looking for some different destinations that they may not have been to before, that are a little bit smaller, and that are doing well in their handling of the pandemic. So we're seeing also a slight increase in our length of stay. So those are all some good indicators. Another key takeaway is that as they're feeling more comfortable, travel will continue to grow, and that younger travelers will likely be the initial stage of the industry's recovery. You know, one of the things we study as well is looking at China, because they are ahead of us in that curve, and seeing when are they coming back, when are they going back to their attractions within China, and in other places. And what we've seen is their curve is getting very strong. So we want to continue along that same line as well. So this campaign will have a gradual buildup, starting with the social media, public relations, and content marketing, search engine marketing, radio, digital advertising, targeted emails, television, run of sites on Louisiana Gannett newspapers will all be gradually phased in, pushing hardest in July and August as we get on into those later months. So our targets initially are the closer in area, about the 60-mile radius, really in support of the casinos and getting their visitors back to our community, but then also looking at some of those staycations and the day trippers. Then we'll continue to expand that market out to Dallas-Fort Worth, Arlington, Irving, Plano, Grand Prairie, other markets identified by our research and data channels, such as our leisure visitor surveys, our Facebook analytics, and Google Analytics as well. So our strategy will include geo-targeting to focus on drive markets, booking windows for people who are looking to travel now, as well as upcoming confirmed travelers to our area, pushing to them places to eat, things to do, and retargeting users who have looked at our previous campaigns through Expedia. We'll measure the success of our campaign by looking at hotel bookings, intent to travel, such as visits to the websites, the requests for our visitor guides, newsletter signups, social media engagement, public relations, and email engagement as well. So one of the things that we really need to rely on also is our local businesses. So this is a great time for you to jump on the bandwagon and help with that campaign. So to help you do that, we are actually having a special webinar. That will be on June the 11th at 9 a.m., and we'll send you that link that you can send out to your members, Lisa. Okay. This is a time where you can find out the details about the campaign, how you can help further that campaign through your own promotions and take more advantage of it. Because we're out there marketing you, we want to make sure that we've got your information current. So go on our website. If you're a hospitality industry business, you have a free listing on our website. make sure we've got that updated information. We're constantly updating our database, but sometimes you tell us something and then it changes and you forget to update us, and before we can call you back, it's changed. So we're trying to make sure that we get that latest information out there. So we're really excited, Lisa, as you mentioned, with the governor's announcement. We do have a number of attractions already online, but more that are on their way. So I didn't know if you wanted to go ahead and talk about that now.
Yeah, and I have a few questions, and really thank you for the update. That national information, Stacy, to hear what the national trends are is very interesting and very. And we know that we follow along those trends. And on the chamber side of things, I've been seeing the same kind of trends in the chamber world as well. So to hear in this specific industry what you're learning for the travel of the future and what our expectations are and what they're seeing the trends will be on that upward trajectory just sounds wonderful. And we hope that it will continue to stay there and go that way. I want to make sure that the folks that are on the call, because we have I think a little, some that are specifically to your industry, others that are in the business industry only. So let's kind of remind them a definition of a visitor, because we tend to forget, and I recall when I worked in the tourism world, always forgot that we are ambassadors to this industry in our community as well, because we have friends and relatives that are coming in to visit, and we can be that ambassador for our community. We've been doing it during the shutdown and the COVID to support our local community and our local businesses, but now that things are being lifted and opened up, folks are out vacationing, which means they're going to vacation here to visit family. And don't keep them at home. I know you've been at home, but don't keep them at home. Take them out and pay attention to where these places are and support your local economy and be that local ambassador to continue to show the pride in our economy and our communities of what we're doing in this area. And and we also have the other segment of the conferences and the meetings. So, and the hoteliers. I think for those of us here locally, Stacy, maybe we don't know that some of our hotels, if not all of our hotels, have remained open at a small occupancy, but they are open. And if you could just kind of elaborate on that and how that meetings and convention business is going to come back to us, because we as the local business community rely on some of that for signage, or takeout orders or lunches or what have you, or the meeting spaces and things like that. So how is that trend looking for the future?
Absolutely. I'm going to start with the visiting friends and relatives first, and then I'll circle back to
Yes,
the meetings.
I have several other things too. Sorry. If anyone
so the primary reason, according to research, the primary reason for your next leisure trip, 37.3% said vacation, 27.7% said visiting friends and relatives is going to be a part of that. So that is a huge impact to our economy. So yes, when those friends and relatives come, get them out and about our community, that does have a huge impact. Not only are they here, not just going to the traditional things that you think of, the aquarium and Skyport and all those that you think those are the traditional things that a visitor does. They are still going to think of those things. Oh, I forgot to get the oil changed before I left home. I forgot to bring my belt. I'm going to run into a store. I never get to go shopping when I'm at home, so I'm going to go shopping here. So it really rolls over to businesses across our communities. So just because they're visiting our community doesn't mean they're going to not going to other traditional businesses. On the meetings and convention side, absolutely, that is so important to our community. In fact, you may think, well, they don't touch me. Back a couple of years ago, we had a meeting and convention in town, and their awards didn't make it into town that they had ordered prior to coming. And they were like, oh my gosh, I've got to have awards at the end of my meeting. What am I going to do? And they asked us, and we said, well, here are some businesses locally that can produce those. They chose one of the local companies. That local company provided them such a great business, they still use them now at their other meetings and conventions across the country. So when you have meetings or conventions in town, you may be able to pick up a loyal customer for future business as well. But some of the things we have coming up, we have actually some meetings and conventions booked in June that are still happening. Some sporting events. Last weekend, there was a horse show, schooling horse show out at Holly Hill in Benton that had, I think they had about 50 to 75 horses there. So events and things are still happening. And I see Terry Hensley said, yes, they do. So Advance Express and Awards, that was actually them. And they hosted that and continue to work with them. So there are things happening now, and they will continue throughout the rest of the year. What we have seen is some things that were happening or were supposed to happen have rebooked for later in the year. Some of them said, you know what, like Mudbug Madness, that really can't happen later in the year. So it'll be back in 2021. So there were some things that canceled that'll be back next year, but there are some things that have postponed. So watch our website. We do constant updates on there. Watch the SB Fun Guide. That's another great resource for what to do every weekend. And in fact, coming up, not this weekend, but next weekend, the 12th and 13th, instead of doing the regular Red River Balloon Rally, we are doing the Red River Balloon Rally Flyover. So something a little different. And something we've seen a lot of our meetings and events, as well as our sporting events and festivals do, something a little different. You're seeing the drive-in movies. You saw the food at the fairgrounds, the food trucks. So trying to think of things differently, and a lot of our local businesses have been extremely creative and have been able to do well during this time, and we are excited to be able to promote them.
Well, that's very exciting. And, you know, I love how these groups, and, you know, and sometimes we take it for granted. It's not that we forget, we just take it for granted because it's in our own backyard and we're so busy doing the things that we do within our household or in our business office that we tend to forget that we have these additional visitors that are coming in, and that includes our family. And they may be members of associations or groups that are looking to travel somewhere else. And if we're aware of what we have to offer here, we can bring those meetings home. And it's probably not a time that is more important than now because of the epidemic that we really need to be pushing our local region for those types of things. And so that means we'll have to stay home a little bit longer, closer, but yet when we can bring in all of our association friends and showcase our home and our community and what a great job that we're doing, then that's going to help rebuild our economy. So we really do work very, very closely together.
Absolutely. And, you know, you mentioned the bring it home. So that's something we talk about all the time. The majority of our meetings have some type of local connection. So it may be somebody in the company that says, hey, we're going to do a regional meeting, let's bring it here to our location, or a member of an association that's been a long-term member, or maybe they've become the president of or chairman of the association. Bring it home, and we can help you do whatever. So some of them will call us and say, hey, I've got it all planned out, I just need a little help, and we can help them find their hotel room or their meeting space. And others say, hey, I'd really like to bring this home. Here's the name of a contact person. You do it all, and we'll take it from there and do everything in bringing the convention here. So it just depends on what your level of comfort is and to how involved you'd like it to be. And some people just don't have a lot of time, but you can tell us about a group that you're a member of and put in a good word for us, and that's all we need sometimes.
Right. Now, Stacy, I'm going to, I didn't prep you for this one. Sorry. But you know me, and I know you know the answer and or you're working towards it. So about our casino market, and we know that Casinos nationwide have become very, very competitive, and as they continue to grow nationwide, that with us being a border community and I'm assuming our largest market has been the Dallas-Fort Worth market, and and we now share that market with some of those in Oklahoma. Um, and we've now have seen from the pandemic some changes and all. Have you been talking to our leaders in the casino industry, and as our leader for the Convention Tourist Bureau, what do you how are we going to recover? What do you see for the future when it comes to the gaming market?
Absolutely. There are a lot of things that play into the gaming market. Dallas-Fort Worth is our biggest market. One of the things we have going for us is we provide tremendous service, and people have a great time when they come to Shreveport-Bossier. Talk about how friendly the people are. It's an easy drive away. When they want to do their convenience gaming, where they can go in the evening, game, and come back home, they're going up north. When they really want to have a great time and they have enough time to get away and spend the night, they want to come to Shreveport-Bossier. And we have one of the highest repeat visitation rates. So we're seeing that we're getting them back, but that competition definitely has influenced our market in a negative way. And so some of the things we must look at for the future is our taxation. Some people don't realize how heavily taxed our casinos locally are. On a number of different levels. Even when a casino says, I'm going to get you to come to my area and I'm going to give you some free play, they pay tax on that free play.
Like 21%.
Yes. And so one of the things you see in our market is you'll see billboards for a lot of those Oklahoma casinos in our market. You'll see them all along I-20. Our casinos, because they are so heavily taxed, it's much more difficult for them to advertise outside the market. So the Convention and Tourist Bureau is the main avenue of marketing outside the market, almost exclusively a lot of times. So our marketing is so important that we work collectively with others. We work with the casinos quite a bit, but it is important that we work together to look at how do we make this a little bit better environment, a little more competitive, friendly environment for our local casinos. With more flexibility on the taxation side, I think we'll see more investment in our casinos. So one of the things that we really need is to be a little more resort style. But in order to make that investment in our community productive for the casinos, they need some relief on that taxation side. So I think you'll see some more push for that in the future. But we do have some great casinos here locally that work very diligently to provide great service and great facilities. And they definitely have some very loyal customers that have already started coming back to our market.
Excellent, thank you. And we're all in this together for sure. And we're also at the chamber side working for those relaxations as well for the regulations. So Jessica, if you can assist us, I don't know how many callers we have on the telephone, but if you have a question for Stacy or the tourism related for the industry, unmute yourself if you're with us via the video, and you can unmute yourself on your own, or raise your hand to let us know that you're interested in asking a question, and we'll put her on the spot. That's fun. Anybody? Any questions out there?
We just have two call-in people, so I'm unmuting them in case they have a question, or maybe just one.
Okay. All right. Well, Stacy and I were on a conference call together on Friday, and we have at their leadership, at the Shreveport-Bossier Convention and Tourist Bureau, at their leadership, we have a kind of a joint regional conference that is coming up for the fall that we want y'all to keep your eyes open and and your ears to the ground as the details come out. But Stacy, for those of us on the caller, can you give us a sneak peek of what we're talking about? And y'all are leading us for the month of August.
Yeah, so we've done a travel outlook conference in the past. And part of what it's for is mainly for the following year's planning. But what we're doing this time is also looking at, since things are changing daily, basically, what can we do for the rest of the year, and then how do we plan better for the future? So looking at some of those industries that affect tourism tremendously, such as the oil and gas industry. So these are going to be some updates that, though the conference is geared more towards the travel industry, can be important to other businesses as well. The medical industry locally is important to hospitality and tourism. They host a lot of meetings in our community, but a lot of people also travel to our area for medical procedures. So looking at what that's looking like for the future. Also looking at the timber industry. You know, there are a number of different things that are happening regionally that absolutely affect tourism. And so looking at what are those, what are the trends statewide, how do we affect that in the future? So kind of getting some local perspective as well as getting some national perspective to look at the hospitality industry and how do we better plan for that. What are some success stories? How are some different industries, the attractions, the restaurants, the hotels, how are they dealing with this and how do they better overcome for the future? So looking at not just what are those trends, but marketing, all those kinds of things.
So we're looking at hosting this mid to late August. The official date will come out hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and with a preliminary agenda, and everyone is invited to participate and attend. It's a ticketed event at this time, and so we will get that information out to you as soon as possible. So I still don't see any questions before we go. Back through what the governor announced as phase 2 for those of you that were not on the call when we first started. And I have the slide up here again, a much easier format to read than just on my telephone. So it's going to be phase 2 that he announced at his news conference. Now open with the limitations such as 50% occupancy with parties maintaining at least a 6 feet of distance. That is churches, solo and non-contact sports, playgrounds, outdoor play centers, barbers and salons, museums, zoos, aquariums, but no tactile exhibits, gyms and fitness centers, the malls, restaurants, coffee shops and cafes, bars and breweries with the LDH food permit, now at 50% occupancy. Theaters. So Stacy talked about the drive-in theaters, which have been a lot of fun. And, you know, I remember those as a kid. So, you know, what goes around comes around. So you can go to a theater now and a drive-in in your car, and it looks like the indoor theaters are going to open up as well, 50%. And so casinos and video poker, racetracks, but not open to the spectators. And then the bars and breweries without LDH food permits can open up at a 25% occupancy seated. And this next line we've all been waiting for, day spas, tattoo shops. Well, I'm not going to make an assumption that everybody on this call has been waiting for the tattoo parlors to open, but if you do, we want to see that tattoo. Send it in. Massage parlors and the estheticians. And then swimming pools with controlled recreational swimming, bowling and skating. So I know our local bowling alley is very excited about that. We've been in close contact with Holiday Lanes over here in Bossier and the event centers. The specific guidance will be provided by the Fire Marshal's office. If you have not already gone and registered at opensafely.la.gov, we encourage you to do so because they will send you an email directly about your specific industry. And then, of course, as Stacy had mentioned, the joint chamber, city, parish, just regional website that we have that is opensafe opensafesbc.com, opensafesbc.com. We'll have all of that information as well. So we are moving forward. You all are doing an excellent job of making sure that you follow the CDC guidelines and the recommendations. And Stacy, we really appreciate you staying on top of everything, you and your team, and being a good partner in our area. So we continue to look forward to working with you. And Stacy, I'll give you the last word.
Awesome. Well, we're really excited about being able to open up a little bit more and invite more people back to our community. And again, shop in your own backyard. Look at the attractions and events that you haven't been to in a while. And check them out, and as your friends and family come visit, invite them to come with you. So we definitely want to hear about your updates. Let us know. Keep on our website. Check out those things on sbfunguide.com and get out and about the community.
All right, that's right, sbfunguide.com. That's right. All right, thank you, Stacy, so very much for joining us today. Have a fabulous weather. We've got you this Chamber of Commerce weather, okay?
Thank you for ordering it.
You're welcome. All right, everyone. Y'all have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.